First of all, hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are, for those of you who are not, and going with the recordings, that's okay too. Thank you either way. There's Namecheap, private email. That's what I used. So you can just click on these if you want to go through Namecheap. That's what I have for my domain, private email, phone, all that stuff. So this is actually an interesting thing to note about domain names. So if you search for a domain name and you're like, I really want this domain name, and you search for it, and maybe you click on it, you have to watch out for domain squatters. So what they'll do is they'll actually like keep tabs on what domain names are being searched. And if they see that you're interested in a domain name, they'll actually buy it, and then they'll try to upsell to you. So they'll try to, yeah, they'll try to like undercut you, and they'll call you up. Like I actually had a guy who emailed me and called me and said like, "Do you want this name? I saw you're interested in it. It's mine." It's like, and they act all nice, like they're doing a favor to you, but no, they're what they did was they're just squatting on domain names and like undercutting you and trying to trying to sell you this thing for more. And like I wasn't like it's so hard to figure out like what a domain name is worth. So like this was when I like first had no idea. Like domain names can cost like $10,000, no joke. Like I did not know this. And so I had no idea. He kept saying like make an offer for this domain name and we'll talk about it. And I was just like, I'm not really that interested, actually. Just kidding. And so like, yeah, it was a weird experience. It's just like I just never thought that that could happen. And then my brother, who's really into this tech space, he's a developer. He's like a senior developer actually. He taught me a lot of what I need to watch out for with AI and stuff. But he said, yeah, that happens. That's like a common thing. So you're gonna want to follow this strategy. Think first, search smart, and buy fast. So once you have like a few domain names that you think like this is kind of what I want, and maybe you're okay with a little bit of a variation just for pricing. Just like when you search, make sure it's all out there at once, like the LLC, the domain name, and your social media stuff. So, that's what this is about. Kind of a funny story. Um, so it's like really interesting, kind of like how that how that happens. So yeah, I'll let you read through this, and I'll notify everybody as soon as I get the workflow going. And please email me back if you can't sign in, and I'll make sure that's working correctly. You can also try to sign in with a separate email, and then do that purchasing thing. See if that works, but I don't know. I thought I got rid of all the all the stuff before. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see where that still is in this database. It's like some kind of a ghost that happened. Why it's not why it's not doing that. I can also just you can also just like have like temporary passwords, but that's kind of a pain. I'd rather fix it, and that way you'll be able to connect. Okay, so yeah, set aside 2 to 4 hours to research, decide, and purchase your domain and services from Namecheap or wherever else immediately. Okay, so this this looks like a little bit out of order. I don't know what option 2 is all about. So I think it's talking about like Google Workspace. This is, okay, Gmail. So this is like, I think this is talking about business emails. I think this is out of order a little bit. So AI kind of messed up there as well. Cost is $6 to $22 per month or per user. So yeah, this is all your like, this is just like some examples for business email. And so I'm just going to go through some of these. This is all pretty like boring. So I'm just going to go through this quick. Payment processing. Yeah, Stripe. Yeah, it says here that if you don't have an EIN, you can go with Square, but you will eventually need it. So, yeah, but again, like these are all extra things. You don't necessarily need any of these. So, any of these, like, you don't need an LLC to start a website. You don't need all that business stuff. You can go forward with it and then just add it later. That's okay too. Yeah, so here's the thing too. So if you don't have a phone, yeah, if you don't have a business phone or a business email, there are workarounds. So what you can do is you can actually use just a form modal which collects client data. So let's say like they're looking for a way to contact you. You can say, you can have your contact info and like have a call to action, a CTA, which means that you just like a CTA is usually like a button or a very like specific instruction for your user. So you can have a button and say, "Hey, click here if you want to contact me," and then they can fill out their information on your form modal or just a form like a page. But I usually like to use a modal, which means it's like a little it's like a little overlay that pops up, and then they can give you their contact information, and you can put all kinds of things like date and time to contact you, preferred contact method like email, video conference, or phone, and then you can just like you can reach out to them whenever you get their contact information, and that'll be one of the last things that we set up. So, but it's there. Um, so this is kind of like the summary, um, your checklists. So do all of these, can wait till later. So it's not like the thing is when you don't have to pay, like the more you don't have to pay up front, it feels like less of a hurdle. Like even with all of the business stuff set up, I think to run Web Launch Academy, it's like $50 a month. So I could like literally be making nothing, and it's like, okay, well, I lost two pizzas, you know, two pizzas a month, not a huge deal. And I mean, even like it's actually like less than like one family outing. So, and it's just nice to not be on the hook. So that's chapter 0, and now it'll unlock chapter 1. So here's accounts and installation. So this is the main thing that we're going through today. So this is actually going to be okay, so let me see here. Strong password structure. So here's your password here. I don't have quite that strong of a password, but These are just like some strategies that you want to use. I'll get out of this though. This is so so this is what we're actually looking for. You can look at this on your own, you know, your password and stuff. But this is one of the first things that you're going to want to install. So it's visualstudio.com. So let me just oh, hold on. Let me open that in a different window. New tab. Okay. So this is what you want to install. So it's Visual Studio Code. Okay. It's the very first thing. So, you know, obviously mine would be download for Windows, but you can do whatever you want. And then this is kind of like this is kind of what you get. You get all this crazy text. So you do that and you just follow the download steps. I mean, it's not like, oops. I actually, now I probably have a duplicate. I thought it would just take me to a page, but it instead it downloaded it like right away. So, oopsie daisies. But anyways, I guess I'll open it. Okay, setup has detected is currently running. So, yeah. Okay, can I cancel? Okay, there we go. That was kind of annoying. So, this is my Visual Studio Code. It's obviously a little bit different of a look. But yeah, you'll have to figure out what you want in configuration on that. But just follow the, you know, just follow the download, the installation there. And that's the first thing that you need to do. And if you have any problems with that, you know, I'm available. But it should be like, it should be, you know, pretty straightforward. So that's what you want to do. And it also has instructions here. So download for your operating system, Windows run installer as administrator. So you can specify that, and that's actually good to do. You want to run a lot of these things as administrator. So launch it when it's complete. You can also do a command line prompt. So whenever you run PowerShell, you want to do it as administrator. So you want to do that. You know, you can do that. You can install things through that CLI. So what that means is you can go through this little search here. If you don't know where that is, you just type in whatever you want. So PowerShell, and you can right click and run as administrator. So what that looks like is just like, yeah, you want to allow. So this thing will come up, and this, like, seeing this stuff was already kind of intimidating to me because I was like, wait, there's no icons that I can just click on. There's no colors, there's no pictures, right? You kind of feel like a kid opening like a book with just words for the first time. It's not cool. And so you have to actually put command lines in here. But this is kind of where AI is really helpful. So you can open up AI in a separate window and just type in things like, "Hey, can you write me a prompt in PowerShell that will install uh, this this thing?" So like you just type it in. So here's Claude AI. That's what we're going to be using. So you can just type in like, "Help me write a prompt in PowerShell to install VS Code," right? And it will give you all kinds of answers. it will walk you through whatever you're having trouble with, right? So it'll just like give you the stuff. So here it is, install. So that's something that AI can really help you with, is these scary command prompts, these these command line what are they called? Command line CLI. Yeah, command line interface. That's what they're called. couldn't think of the couldn't think of the word. Okay, so yeah, again, like it gave you the same thing, right? Widget install Microsoft. So AI is super great for that. If you get stuck with this stuff, you can always ask AI, how to install. So the other thing, for if you're a Windows user, you must install WSL first. Okay, so this is critical. Windows for Linux. So yeah, you need Linux. You need this like this Linux extension. So here's all the reasons why. So in order for Claude Code to integrate directly into Visual Studio's code, so this is Claude. I have Claude living in this little thing here. And what I can do is I can just ask Claude a bunch of stuff. And in order to do that, you actually have to have, see, this is WSL Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is running in the background, and it's also good practice to have it running here as well. And I'll get more into that actually later. There's a reason why it's important to run both. And so we're running a little bit short on time here. It's 7:44. But the main things are these two things. So this is probably one of the harder things to install. So if anybody has problems, let me know. But basically, you go into this into PowerShell as administrator. Like I said, right click, run as admin. That's super important. So select run as administrator. So yeah, if you don't see run as administrator, your account lacks admin rights. So then it's like, but you should have those rights. If you bought your computer, you should just have that available to you. Okay, so this should be the command. Yeah, the other thing is you need to enable the virtual machine platform. So you can also go through here, I believe, for like enabling the virtual machine platform. I don't remember actually if I enabled WSL within here. I'm gonna see. Let me see here. Enable virtual machine. Yeah, so virtual machine platform. Okay. Yeah, I actually can't remember how that all worked. But obviously it says you can do this on your command line. So just follow these steps. You can even just like tell Claude, like, I need to install let's see, I need to install WSL on my machine in order to get Claude Code going, and it can write you a whole prompt for all of that stuff. So that's an option if you have trouble doing that. So then you need to restart your computer. WSL won't work without it. Save all work and restart now. Set WSL 2 as default. Open PowerShell as administrator again. So then you run this command, WSL set default version 2. And then you need to install Ubuntu Linux. So you open Microsoft Store. Microsoft Store. Go through here. What is going on here? Oh. Making sure it's me. Oh, brother, I gotta do this. I gotta do all this stuff. This is annoying. Don't have time. We don't have all day. Okay. Use my authenticator. Okay, that worked. And then, what were we even looking for? This was for, I don't even remember doing this. There's got to be a different way to do this. Ubuntu. Yeah, I think I did this a different way. I don't remember doing this. So you can install it from here, I guess, but I got it. I think you can do everything in the command line prompt, in the command line interface. So you can either do it through there or you can do it through here. So wait for launch button, initial Ubuntu setup. Wait for installing. This may take a few minutes. Create username. Okay. Update Ubuntu system. So this is some crazy command line stuff. And then it's kind of, you know, if you have problems though, like I remember going through this and just kind of like following whatever. Just keep prompting AI and it will get you through this stuff. So all right, so common WSL issues and solutions. Yeah, I mean, you can go to this stuff, but again, you can just prompt AI and it will give you most of the answers. You know, you'll eventually get through it. And it's one of the hardest things to get through. So yeah, you have to, so if your permission is denied, you have to do this as administrator. Otherwise, like you'll finish installing it and then you won't be able to, it won't work. So now that, like, if you have that installed, and I'm gonna check for any messages in my email. So if you're trying to do this while we're going through this, let me know and see if you have any issues. But this is probably like the most frustrating part about this. If you can get through this, you could probably get through the rest of the class. And in fact, like this is not only the hardest, one of the hardest parts, but it's also the most frustrating. It's also just like aggravating. It's not fun. So once you can get through this stuff, the rest should be a breeze, and it should actually be fun because you're actually creating your own website after this is all said and done. And if you run into any problems, let me know. and I'm also here as well. So Claude Code extension, so VS Code extension, search Claude Codes, install official Anthropic version. So that is extensions. Here we go. So it is this one. Okay. So that is the extension, and you can't run it without this. WSL Ubuntu WSL2. So that is that. Okay, and so these are the extensions that you'll want. So Claude Code is one. You'll also want WSL extension if you're a Windows user. If you're a Mac, you don't have to do any of this stuff. So ESLint is also really good because it catches bugs and code issues automatically. So even if like this isn't even really required because like we're using AI to write all our code. So it's not like this is not a course about coding. It's really not. You can get by without any knowledge of that. And then prettier is just it actually just nice. It's nice to see what your code looks like. And this is nice too because you know, even though you don't need to know anything about coding, it's nice to know like what's a comment and what's not. So here's where my here's where my chapters live too, by the way. So here's all my contents of my textbook. And so this is just all text. But so you'll be able to see like differences between the text with prettier. So prettier is also let's see. I actually can't remember which one I have. Oh, is this? For some reason, this has a little thing here. I wonder if that was. I wonder if that's an old version. Every once in a while, these extensions will become like deprecated. Is what they say, and so they're not being used anymore. So you have to watch out for that. And every once in a while, you have to like reset your system or just close your VS Code editor and sign back in and just make things better that way. So we don't have a ton of extensions normally. Like without AI, there used to be so many extensions that you would want to install. But with AI, it formats everything, and you don't really have to know code. But it is still good to know. Like what I was gonna say is, it's good to know if I can find some code that has comments in it. Okay, so here's a comment. So there should you can actually get AI to like comment throughout and actually create better comments so that you can know kind of what your code does. It's not like it's not like required, but it is kind of good practice to have like good documentation in your code. So prettier will make everything kind of like stand out. It'll give your comments that green look, and other like it'll just separate like different types of code that you have. So if you know anything about coding, then that'll help you a lot. And it's also good to kind of just like read through the code and kind of see if you can understand like what it's doing, because you'll eventually kind of get a feel for like, okay, this is actually what's going on here. I know it looks like, just a bunch of gobbledygook right there, but okay, so once you have that, so let's see. Yeah, those are all the extensions. Okay, so the other thing is you have to install Node.js. And I actually wonder, I can't remember if you want to install Node.js first, but it probably doesn't really matter. Um, so when you have this Ubuntu terminal, so that's what this is. So once you get WSL installed, yeah, that's right. So Windows with WSL. So yeah, so this is this. So this is the Ubuntu terminal. And so this will be open. And what you need to do, so it's another command line prompt. So what you need to do is install Node.js, and you just follow all of these things. So that's another thing you can type into Claude AI. Say, I need to install Node.js. Okay. And it will give you all this stuff. And you also have to install it if you're a Mac user. And then to verify, you just type in this. So I even did that, I think. So node dash dash version. If it gives you a version, then you have it. Okay, so, and then you can do git installation and configuration. So we're running like very short on time, so I understand if you have to go. The git installation, I think we'll just leave off. Yeah, we'll leave this for tomorrow, the git installation and configuration. I think like the big thing which can give you some trouble is this WSL. So the git is also another thing that's a little bit confusing. Everything else should be like pretty straightforward, but yeah, those are the two things. But I ran through a lot of these, so these should be the right instructions, but because AI doesn't always give you the right instructions, so that's one thing to watch out for. So, you know, read through this, but that's it. We're dismissed. Thanks everyone for showing up. Um, I'll actually close out in prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everyone who tuned in or everyone who didn't tune in. Help them to follow the recordings, and let's get through this. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.